a recent episode of Once Driven Forever Smitten, we went and bought the cheapest Cadillac in the UK. A truly obscure bit of GM history, the Cadillac BLS was built by Saab in Sweden and is closely related to the 9.3. Our car is the flagship Sport Luxury 2.8 Turbo, which shares most of its running gear with the 9.3 Aero. We picked it up for £2,100, which is much less than what you'd pay for an Aero or a Vectra VXR in the same condition. Although it had just 58,000 miles on the clock, the car had been for sale for a long time and had not done many miles over the last couple of years. This would mean there was almost guaranteed to be some glitches and teething problems to overcome. In this video we look at some of the faults we found with the car and what we're doing to solve them. Already the car is greatly improved from when we first bought it, but it is still a work in progress. The 2.8 V6 Turbo is shared by the Vectra VXR, and we're going to be taking the car to MWP in Chester in September for a full check over and dyno session. MWP are experts with this engine, so their knowledge will be essential, especially as we'd like to remap the car, which would take it to around 300 horsepower. Alrighty folks, we're in the Cadillac, hasn't moved for a couple of days. Gonna go and balance the wheels on it and get a headlight bulb for it. Well, it started no problem at all. Well, hey! Quite a nice exhaust, no tone cold start. The heat got onto that bumper and knocked the dent out it. Other than that, it is purring away. So, just went into Dingbro there to see about one of these Xenon headlight bulbs, and they don't have it in the system to identify it. So I've got to pull the bulb. I do have a couple of sets of Vectra CDX Xenon headlights which would have bulbs in them. But depending on how hard it is to remove the bulb, I think I would rather put a new one in it, you know. So we'll have to investigate that. But nobody's ever heard of these things to begin with, eh? You've always got to do a bit of explaining. It's a Cadillac, yeah. It's based on a Saab. It's got a Vectra engine in it. Because it shouldn't be, any of the mechanical bits shouldn't be hard to get, but bodywork and things, yeah. There's actually one in Accrington in a scrapyard, which I need to go down south next week. I might pop in and see it because I need a rear headlight lens for this. And I might strip a few other related bits out it as well while I'm there, we'll see. But I'm going to Brian's now, we're going to balance the wheels up on it and see if we can get the headlight bulb out it. I just balanced the first wheel, which was massively out, only needed 15 grams on it. I don't think it's got Vectra VXR size brakes, they look like 314s. Kind of normal sort of sized ones. I mean, they bite perfectly good. Must, you know, they'll probably clean right up. It's had a drop link on it anyway, so it's had some maintenance. Looks clean enough under here anyway. I don't see any player knocks off it, but got some of this warf. Just a bit of that for the face of things, and I'm going to go and put some copper grease on the threads of these bolts. I balanced 3 out of 4. That back one was in balance, the other one in the front was out by 15, stripped a whole load of weights off it and it was out by 25 grams, so just this one to do. If you go under here, look, Saab, and it's got a drop link on this side as well. I mean, it all looks dry, everything's intact round there, so that's good. That'll go well with a bit of lana guarding. I clean these calipers up, see what size these are, not sure. I have got a bigger set of discs in stock, you know, these are a little, yeah, probably want to replace these at some point, not urgently though. Right, so we have removed the headlight, which is 2 bolts and it slides forward easier than I thought it might have been. It's not going to be a bulb issue though, because what I discovered was the headlight was full of water and this ballast resistor is absolutely saturated with water. The headlight had some water on the bottom of it as well, so I think, I mean, it's going to need dried out properly, but I also think that it's not sealing around it either. So I don't know if it would be worth trying to extract that with a heat gun and then resealing it in with some Tiger Seal or something. Need to look into that. These are the two ballast resistors which came with the car. He says he's already replaced them and put these ones in. But obviously with it sitting, I mean, look at that. There's water spraying out it everywhere. That's not good, that'll be knackered. So we'll just try this. It probably won't work, but you know. Oh, and the headlight bulb's hanging out the back as well. So let's have a look. There's a technique to this. Yeah, that's actually really easy. Okay. Headlight in, won't put the bolts on it just now. We'll just see if we get any response. Of course it won't start unless I've got my foot on the brake. Check okay. Nope. Nah, well that other ballast resistor doesn't work either, so. Now it's also a door starter, and we've just checked it on the battery tester. Bad cell replaced, 10.22 volts. So that's not good, that's why it won't be wanting to fire very easily. I think I do have another battery somewhere that would fit this, that I'll head out the Saab and put another one in it. Bit annoying about those headlights, we'll have to get them popped out it and see if we can ease them apart. Get some tiger seal into them. That one's not really any better. That's 60 miles an hour at 1600 RPM. The thing's just silent. Well, engine management light's gone on. I don't think it's very important though, because it's not in limp mode or anything. It's actually going really well. I have tried the Tech 2 on it just to see if it might go in via Vauxhall or Saab, but it won't. Spoke to the guy who I got my Tech 2 off of, and he can supply me a Cadillac software card for it, so I'm going to order one of them. I do suspect it might be something to do with that battery having low voltage though, because it was just flashing up traction control faults and everything there when it was sitting still, and it would barely start. So yeah, putting a new battery on it may well help it, which I will do just shortly. So a few jobs to do. Now, I have removed the headlight to replace the ballast resistor at the bottom. Try and get out the wind here. But these headlights are, I mean, they are full of water. That's what we at least get. Listen to that! Look at it! All sloshing about in there. I can't have that with xenons, we're going to have to get this out. I have here a can of compressed air, so I'll at least try and blast the moisture out some of the electrical connections. I'm a bit concerned because it is raining a lot at the moment. Right, that's the old ballast resistor which got flooded out, and this is the new one which, you know, may well get flooded out because I'm installing it without sorting the water leak, but we're not going to be using it much. Yeah, we're not going to be using it much before getting the headlights sorted, so we'll just see if it's going to work now. There's really no way for that water to escape apart from taking the headlight off and giving it a good shake. Can't do this one-handed out. This headlight has also got quite a lot of water in it. Not quite as bad as the other one, but we'd better give it an empty. I'll say one thing, the headlights are so easy to install. Right, let's see what happens if we ignition on, lights on. Let's see what happens here. We have one headlight. Oh, we've got two headlights, folks. Full set of lights in the front. Had to take that one out, clean the connections out on it. That one's working. That one's working, that one's working. Happy days. Check the oil again. Right on the top, and it is spotless, which is good. I really... Battery bracket, let's see. Yeah, they look, well, they're the same size. That one's a little bit taller, but that shouldn't matter. It'll fit in the box okay. Getting fired in and see what a difference it makes to the starting situation. Installed, that's actually a 750 battery versus a 700, so it's slightly more powerful. Oh, that's much healthier. Oh good, that's solved that. And we no longer have an engine management light either, so that's good. But we'll get the Tech 2 on it anyway because I've got the Cadillac thing for it now. Well, we now have a diagnostic code, and while the car's driving really well, I do think it's pulling the boost out at times. So I suspect when we run through this, we're going to get a code related to a sensor. Interesting the way that this does this, because it runs through everything. It does every single body module on the car. Key not in lock position, what? There we go, what's that? Turbocharger overboost detected. And long-term fuel trim additive, max value, air fuel, too lean. Now it is running in Tesco 99. So I will just jot those codes down. This is some serious rain. Right, Saturday morning, back onto the Cadillac, and as we know, it's got an overboost issue. So to hedge my bets, we have got a MAF sensor, which is there, a MAP sensor, which is there, and a boost control solenoid, which is there. That's what's in these three boxes. So we'll just go and change all three of them out now, because any one of the three can be prone to failure, and that will just future-proof it a bit, you know. Right. Have gone for a genuine Bosch MAP sensor, which is the wrong kind. That is a 3-pin and we need a 4-pin. Now, boost pressure solenoid is identical. Pierberg. Yeah, we're matching on this one, that's good. Sound. Fire that in now. I'm just taking the MAF sensor out, and you will note I have just cut some slots in it with a handy DeWalt grinder, because these are like 5-sided security torques and I don't have the bit for them. They're also rusty as in it, and I would probably replace those screws. Oh, that one's alright, the top one was really rusty. Right, this should just pull out now. Should just pull out now. There we go. He's out. I'm going to get the other one installed. MAF insert installed. Boost pressure solenoid installed. MAP sensor not installed, but I suspect that's not the issue that we'll have in anyway, but I've just ordered another one which is correct, 4-pin type, and we'll get that fired on it just a chop. We're now going to go and get rid of these shitey tyres. It was sold as having 4 new ones on it. Does that look new to you? I mean, not that I'm complaining at the price, but that one's for 2017. And it's got a big chunk out it, same as the one on the other side. So we're going to get rid of these for some nice Bridgestones. Got all the Bridgestones on the Cadillac, obviously. Here's a set of Uniroyal Rain Sports. on my Vectra GSI wheels. I bought these tyres in 2021, left them in Brian's workshop, never fitted them. So now they're on these wheels. I've got a set of Toyo Sports and the other two wheels, so now I can put them on something. I might fire them on the Saab temporarily, but they are 215/40s as opposed to 225/45s, so you know. But yeah, land sales going cheap. They want some land sales. We have 4 new Bridgestones on there, and as it turned out, the land sale on the front was deformed from having been smacked off a curb. So these should make a big difference. And that feels pretty lively, like. Oh, you can hear a difference with the tyres already. There's less road noise off the thing. It is telling us that the intake air temperature is 65 degrees Celsius. That minus 48 is always like that at the start, so we still need to go and sort out why it's telling us that. Well, I was just coming home there and the gearbox threw up a load of codes. Stability control problem, so I've got P18951896, engine torque, no data from ECM. Interesting, let's clear those. I wonder what happened there. Probably some sensors dropped itself. Right, having just done a bit of Googling, the ATF on this car is recommended for changes every 30,000 miles. This car is on 59,200 miles, so it's obviously about to need changed. So I've downloaded a PDF from Saab Central, I think, because, you know, the Saab Aero with the 2.8 engine in it is much more common than the Cadillac. I wouldn't find that. But I found the instructions on how to do the ATF change. So now I think I'm going to go and grab some, provided I can get the right spec from Halfords this afternoon. Might not, might have to wait till Monday and get it from Dingbro or something. And then I'll have to go put it on the ramps and change the ATF out. Back at the house to swap tools. Alright, we now have an Ulmshire wheel in the boot. These are a little bit buckled, but much better than having the space saver in there, because, you know, at least you can run at full speed to get home. Now heading down to the garage to go and change the ATF on this. It's 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Is this wise? Possibly not. But it is the weirdest weather today. Oh, there's bobline on the pavement. It's like overcast and it's raining a bit, and it's 26 degrees, the car's saying. It was about 30 earlier on. I've been sweating buckets. I've drank like 3 bottles of Aldi Lucozade Sport, and I drank like a pint of electrolyte water there. Right, I've taken the engine cover off and it says there's an air leak at the throttle body, which I suspect must be this map sensor that I've taken out and put back in again. So have a little look at that. That's not quite connected right there either, I've noticed, so we'll get that shoved home properly. And then we need to go underneath it to have a look and see what the score is with the ATF. Okay, first up, according to the instructions, what I am reading, we're going to take this T40 out, which will let some oil drain. Now this stuff is likely to be feckin' hot. Now that's supposed to be red, I think, as far as I'm aware. Right, next I've got to take out the drain plug itself, which is a 12mm, which I can't find, so I'm using a T60 Torx. Yeah, that's when I'm going to pour more of this out. Good grief. I'm just going to let that drain now, it's too hot. Right, the conventional way of filling it, as you can see where my bar is sticking out, is via a T55 Torx bolt there. Can't get it to come slack. It's just sliding, and that's like a good Mac Tools torque bit on that. That will not come out. So the alternative is fill it through the vent hose, which is what we're going to do now. Pour 3 litres of ATF in there very slowly. Oh, see, it's got a squirter on it. I don't need that, because we're just going to pull this in slowly. Of course, it's going to bubble back out as well. Oh God. This is going to be boring. On to the second bottle now. What I find I have to do is go under it and slacken the bleed screw on the bottom of the gearbox, and then that lets some air out, which then allows the fluid to go in every sort of 3 funnels full, and it keeps running okay. Currently on the premiere of the Cadillac video. This has been taking ages to fill up, so I went and reassessed to try and get the drain plug out. So 2 extensions, universal joint, 3 8.5 inch adapter in the bar, and all my strength on it, and that eventually cracked loose. So I've now got the fill plug out it, thank God. So I should now be able to get the last litre in it a lot quicker, and I can go home tonight. That is a dick. Yeah, that was close to not coming out, like. Right, get some rigged up now. There we go, this is how it's supposed to work when I'm turning myself down. I'm just responding to the comments when it's live. I reckon you'd be here about another 3 hours putting that in through the vent tube. Right, what I want to do now is get it back down on the ground, get it out, and I want to get the Tech 2 on it, because there's some gearbox learning thing that I can do with it, which I'm going to try, and I reckon that sounded quieter when I moved it out there. Anyway, I've had the Tech 2 back on, and what I've done is, oh, there's a spider. Hello, Mr. Spider. Right, come on, you don't want me to sit on you. Oh, for goodness sakes. Come on. No. Come on. What are you going to do? You got to hide under there, right? Hide under there, but don't sit in there. Right, there are 2 functions in the transmission menu. Reset adaptive values, which means everything that the car's learned about gear shifting. And it does seem to have a bit kind of funny gear shifting to it. So I've set that back to 0, and I've also learned range sensor in neutral. So we've done that. And I'm now going to go back through diagnostics and just go and check everything out again. It's going to have some codes in there about the throttle body leak, but we'll see. I'll go and, I don't know if I deleted them all or not, but I'll check them again. Right, so everything's been reset. It's got new transmission fluid on it. I think it's still idling a bit fast. It definitely sounded like when it was moving, you were getting like a whine from the transmission initially. Oh, that is like night and day. I'll tell you that straight away, the way that gearbox is shifted. Because it wasn't taking shifts before, and it was like clunking. Oh, here's 3 police vans coming down the road. That is Armadale on a Saturday night in July. Interesting. This is like a totally new car, the way that it's changing up the gears there. It just wasn't doing it before. Oh, we've got some slow drivers. It's going to absolutely piss down in a minute as well. I don't know if the camera is really showing just how dark it is out there. It's just turning 7:30. That looks pretty apocalyptic like. It has just been the most biblical downpour and thunderstorm, and I think I'm kind of driving into it again. Probably going to see some good floods. My ballast resistor has got full of water again, so next priority is sort those headlights, because it's obviously filled that up with water again. I'm kind of hoping it wouldn't be super rainy and it wouldn't do it so quick, but you know, obviously not the case. Another sizable puddle. One of the issues with the 2.8 V6 turbo is the vast amount of heat generated in the engine bay, which can lead to dry, cracked wires as well as split pipes and hoses. We've got some fault finding to do in this department, but thankfully nothing seems too serious. You almost have to expect these kind of issues with the age of car and the setup under the bonnet. Right, it was now Sunday night. I'm going to go down the garage, maybe do a bit on Le Cave. We're running a bit in the Cadillac some more. Gearbox is much better, but after you boot it a couple of times it does pull the boost out. Now I've been talking to Jeff Harrison, because there's a weird glitch it's got. When you fill it with petrol, it'll crank load to start it, and it's got this fuel code for fuel too lean, and that comes back potentially to the evap canister stroke purge valve, which is situated on the engine, and it's only about 12 quid to replace it, if that's what it is. But it may well be that we've got a split vacuum hose somewhere which is causing an issue. So we'll go have a look at that and see if we can solve that issue. And I might get a look at the headlights as well. We'll see how we get on, because they are full of water. Auto box is so much better since I changed the fluid in it, which was obviously at the time it was needing done. But you see there, just really light throttle, just up to about 2000 RPM, and it's just changing up quite happily. Its behaviour does alter when you boost it a bit too much and then it decides, nah, I don't like this. But that's it up into 5th gear at 50 mile an hour now, which is just lovely. Well, on some initial investigation on this evap canister stroke purge valve, which is located down here, I was having a look at this pipe, which has got a little bit of splitting on it there, but I just looked at it and the whole thing snapped off the end there because it's so very brittle. Now you can see there, it has got a split on it there, and it's got a bit of a split on it there. So obviously it's snapped there. I don't know if I could glue that back on for now. Probably. I've got some good stuff there. And yeah, that looks like it could potentially be letting air in. I'm going to conduct a scientific experiment. I can suck a tiny amount of air through that split, and that is all that would need for it not to work. Now I wonder, see if I get the soldering iron and just melted that shut again, or should I just wrap a load of tape around it now? Or I could put some super glue in it again. I could put some epoxy resin in it and just seal it up. I don't know. I will have a think. Right, so this is our pipe here, and it's all hard plastic, and we've got one microscopic little split there with a pinhole in it, and I found another one there. So what I'm going to do is just put some epoxy resin into those splits, and that'll do it for now. A mess. Stop. A sticky blob. Right, so that's that one there, and that one. Oh, it's runny. Okay. Cut. Waiting for the epoxy to dry on the purge valve pipework. This is not a good sign. Oh man! My new ballast resistor is absolutely full of water. Great! Absolutely drenched in it. So I'm going to say this is probably knackered. So what am I going to have to do is get these headlights sealed up, because it can't go on like this. Drilled a hole in it because it's probably knackered anyway. Here is our headlight again. Now it's been raining a lot in Scotland, so this should be pretty entertaining. The bulbs fell out. You can hear it sloshing about inside the light. That's mental. Will the headlights come apart? That's anybody's guess. Ow! I have popped the headlight lens loose. Oh look, there's like bits of moss and everything in there, and yeah, it's just full of water, so I dare say, did I wreck anything? I don't think I actually did. No, that's all still part of that. Health and safety, folks. It's not leaking out anyway, so it can't be that bad. It doesn't hurt at the moment. It'll probably hurt tonight when I get in. The rubber seal is like really heavily bonded into this, so I think what I'm going to do is run, God, that's all watery in there, run silicone right the way around inside there so the light sits against some new silicone, and we'll just make sure there's an overlap of it all the way around the outside so it cannot get in again. Maybe, I hope. Now got a bead of silicone right the way around in there. What we're going to do first is take the back off the headlight using this torch bit, which will be one size too big. 3 screws and our headlight lens is out. Now if I had the time, I could go and spray those bits black and make some cool one-off black headlights, but I won't because I don't have the time. But at least now we can get all the water out of them, so it doesn't look like a goldfish bowl. I'll have to get my headlight restoration kit on it because you can see it's gone quite badly along the top there, but no, I'm not leaking, it's good. It's all good. So that's that all cleaned out, so I can put that back together and then plonk it on the headlight assembly. One carefully siliconed up headlight. So I'm just going to stick some tape around it now, wrap it round it to kind of hold the headlight tight together to make sure it gets the best possible seal, and I'll just take that off tomorrow when it's cured. I have put the ballast resistor back on, now it's dried out. I'm just going to reinstall the headlight and see if it works. Probably not, but you know, we are comprehensively siliconed right round this headlight now, so you would hope the water can't get in it anymore. And also it's nice and dry on the inside for the first time, which is sweet. Right, damaged pipe. We've got the epoxy resin all round it. I've got to be honest, I've been a bit impatient, it hasn't gone off yet. So I've wrapped some tape around the top of the epoxy resin to really seal it in for now. Say, probably want to replace this pipe anyway, but I've now got this bit glued on top with some epoxy resin on it as well, but it's not drying like hard enough anyway, so see what happens here. Right, so I've got the pipe back installed again, and what I need to do now is just put this bracket back on, which I had to remove because access isn't great. I'll actually need to look into doing the spark plugs on this because I don't know when they're done, and the back ones will probably be a bit of a mission. I'll need to look into that. So it does, it's written in the service book that it has been serviced, but there's no details of what's been done to it, so you know, it could just have had oil changes. We don't know. And then our lambda sensor wire gets plugged back into these little metal clips here. So you sit there neatly. Okay, let's fire it up and see if we've got any leaky bits. Oh. Left front position light failure. Hey! Alrighty. The headlight's working again, which is brilliant. Just emptied the water out it. Okay, nice. Now I did say in the last video I wasn't going to be piling my tools in the boot, but you know, unavoidable, and well, hey look, plenty of space for them. Love the back end of this car. It looks way cool. Okay. Just on the first run since I repaired that pipe with the little leaks in it. And oh wow, it's transformed the car. It has never once been running right since I've got it. But now it is. What a difference. The power band is so consistent now. Like before, it was, the management was getting confused by that unmeter there, kind of pulling things out. But I just had it down the mad mile there, and it just pulled clean as you like, all the way. Just tickling the throttle as well, not going hard on it. And I just love cars that move fast without you having to thrash them. Oh yeah, we're happy. That's pulling, that's not happy. Right. Let's go check. Oh, yep, that's good. We've got rid of, since we've been glitch finding, we've got rid of the fuel trim and we've got rid of overboost. All we have now is air leak before throttle body, so that shouldn't be too hard to sort out. Right. Let's see what's happening here. We're going to smoke test it and we're just running through the fault codes again. For some reason it wants you to turn the ignition off. Alright, interesting. It doesn't have a code for air leak, but I didn't boot it on the way down here. I only drove it easy. So we've got the mirror up and down potentiometer things which always come up, and parking left, front circuit open. Yeah, that's the side light that keeps needing a bang on the light, so I'm going to take the light out and... Okay. Right, we're going to put the new map sensor in it anyway, because it usually gives us that code, but it seems to be only after you give it a bit of a kicking that it's going to notice that. So let's fire the map sensor in it. Bosch map sensor. Don't cheap out on these sensors because it will just bite you on the arse. And these weren't expensive anyway. 4-pin, because the one that I got the other day was a 3-pin. So the VXR or whatever, there must be 2 different types for these. Direct, that felt like it got a good press there. See if you looked at the O-ring on that. That O-ring's no sticking out anywhere near as far. I didn't want it to go. Smoke tester. Alternative was to get Kenzo to smoke 100 fags and blow them onto there. Baby oil going in it. Pumping the smoke in. See if it starts coming out anywhere. Never mind, we'll have replaced the dodgy map sensor. Good news is we don't have an air leak anymore, but we've just used this here vacuum gauge to test the actuator, and it's not moving, it's seized. So we're not going to try and unseize the actuator. There we go, working the actuator. Now, let's stick a bit of fucking... You can see on that it's a bit rusty.
I hope it's been scraped. Yeah.
I wonder how hard it would be to put a big turbo there then. Can't be that hard. I suppose you would have to go and match it with exhaust and intercooler though.
Aye.
I think heat's the big issue with these, trying to keep them cool.
I'm surprised at that ECU because remember the old 1600s?
That's what I thought. I commented in that one of the video clips. I was like, why would you put the ECU? You can't put your hand on that when it's just been running.
That's what I mean. And see the old like Mark IV Astras that used to sit on the corner there, close to the manifold. They used to destroy ECUs like misfire.
Just melt throttle codes, aye.
This you're wanting to blow in. It's not a vacuum one. It's normally open instead of normally closed. So what should happen is when you'll not be able to overcome it with your knife, I don't think.
Right, airline.
Aye, and like a...
That moved there. That wasn't moving before, was it? Okay. Right, so we've got the actuator freed off. We've checked it for leaks. We've got a new boost pressure solenoid, MAF insert, MAP sensor, and we've repaired the 2 air leaks on the EVAP pipes. So therefore, this thing should now go like it's meant to. We'll soon find out. Look, my headlight worked as well. No water in it anymore, compared to that one, which is a goldfish bowl. Do I want to do that tonight? I don't know. I will have a think. Well, I took it a test drive and it chucked its toys out the pram. But we've had a look into it. There's a couple of gearbox codes, and there was a code. It's still saying that it's leaking air. Now we've replaced an O-ring in there, and I don't know until I drive it if that's going to be okay. We disconnected all the power connectors, we disconnected the battery main switch and reset it. That battery main switch is about 150 quid, so I'll have to find one in a scrapyard because I'm not loading the parts cannon for that. Only other thing is, the O2 sensor on the back has got 100% preheat on it all the time as soon as it warms up. So that might be breaking down inside. So I'm prepared to put an O2 sensor on it to see if that solves that particular issue. But at the moment, I mean, it seems, I mean, it looks okay. We've disconnected a whole load of stuff and reset that switch. And there's a lot of threads on forums and stuff about things not being right on these. And it's hard to work through it. I mean, these run hot, but people own them in Texas, so, you know, and, you know, the north of Sweden, so, yeah, we shall see. On to the next bit.
So, with some vacuum leaks sorted, the actuator freed off and a new set of sensors, the Cadillac is much improved. It's got loads of power and torque. The issue we have at this point is a couple of fault codes regarding the gearbox RPM, P1895 and P1896, which is almost certainly a communication issue between the engine ECU and the gearbox ECU. The car behaves perfectly until you give it some proper stick, so it's likely there's an issue with some of the earths or degraded wiring which can't cope with being loaded up and providing the correct signals.
Right, so there's a bit of a change to the last part of this video, because when I went out to do the B-roll, I was under the impression that we hadn't solved the P1895, P1896 gearbox RPM fault codes, and it had also returned with the air leak between MAF and throttle body. Now, I've read loads of threads on the old Saab forums, Saab scene, UK Saabs and things, and there's a wealth of information from the problems that people have had with the Saab 9.3 2.8 turbo. And one of them did say that the issue can be down to the MAF sensor itself. So I thought, well, I wasn't actually sure if there was anything wrong with it. I just replaced it anyway. So I put the original Bosch MAF back in the car, back in the airflow meter, and the car's running perfectly. It's pulling like a rocket. So rain back on. So yeah, it looks like we've solved all the initial glitches on it for the moment. It's going exactly as it should be. Wahey! We've got the Cadillac out for a test drive after sorting quite a few of the faults, and it is much improved. It's got torque right from the off, and it doesn't have a very large turbo on it, so there's no element of lag. You can feel there it's got pretty stiff suspension. I don't know what the reviews at the time were talking about when they said the suspension was like soggy. Maybe the standard ones were, but the Sport Luxury wasn't.
I mean, it corners really well, especially with the Bridgestones on it now. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I did do a bit more research, and the high intake temperatures are apparently normal for these because the intercooler sits beside the radiator. So as soon as you park it up, the heat just soaks into it. It's not an issue when the car's out on the road because the air's being forced through it, but I was sitting last night and the intake temps are up to 63 degrees. A big front mounted intercooler would probably make a huge difference to one of these, I would imagine. I mean, see here now, we're on a back road here. It's suspension's a little bit unsettled, but it's not too bad. And I mean, the refinement is just absolutely silent. I could take this up to 100 mile an hour and it wouldn't be any noisier. Oh dear. Take it you're turning left here. You're not. No, well, I'm going to sit and wait here then. I'm not driving down the road at 20 miles an hour behind that thing. Oh God, it's only just down there. Yeah, just light throttle hitting that torque and away it goes. I mean, I've got no complaints about the handler on this thing, like. Big bump round here. Oh! Wow! "25 mile an hour." Oh, she does move! Okay, that's enough of that. Well, this will be a good test to see if it throws a strop or not. Interesting. So that's it for this one. It was a really nice surprise to find right at the end that the gearbox fault's no longer present after changing the MAF sensor back to the original Bosch one. According to some threads on Saab forums, an air leak or MAF fault can cause all sorts of mayhem, which can transfer into some bizarre fault codes. The car is now pulling at full power to the red line in every gear consistently. We may well have some further work to do regards checking the earths, but that's some great progress made. We have a new EVAP canister on order as well as a second O2 sensor, as both are suspect. We've fixed the leaking vacuum pipes, fixed the actuator, added a new map sensor and boost solenoid, changed the ATF, fitted 4 Bridgestone weather controlled tyres and sealed up the leaky headlights. Fingers crossed this rare Cadillac proves to be a real bargain. We'd love to speak to anyone who owns one of these cars, as well as anyone who has some expert knowledge on the Saab 9.3 Aero 2.8 Turbo. If that's you or you know of someone, please get in touch. Catch you next time. once again we have a Bob in the car. And I know you like it because it's very cosy, but also I need to move the car. So what are you going to do? What are you thinking, Bob? Are you wanting out this way? Probably go in the house. Come on. You want a cosy sleep, go in the house. Yeah, go and get Denny, there's a good girl.